Alright guys, crap, I need a haircut. Alright, we're going to do the hub on the driver's side front, or for my friends over the pond, we're going to do the passenger side front. However you slice it, it's the left front corner. So let's get going. First, we got to get this wheel off. So that means lifting it up on a jack and putting a jack stand underneath it to support it, and then we'll get to the brakes. Next, we'll get this caliper off. 2 bolts in the back. There's one and another one right beneath it. One thing to remember is, get some space in there, pry those apart a little bit so this caliper will go on much easier than if you don't, because you're going to have a hard time getting it on. So take off the 2 13 millimeters, but before, stick a screwdriver in there and try and get a little gap in between the pad and the rotor. Now that we got the caliper off and properly hung, be mindful of the pad wear sensor. You don't want to break that, so be gentle with it. Now we got to take the carrier off. Okay, this is the caliper carrier. This is I can't remember if they're 20 or 21, but I'm using a 13/16 12 point. As you can see there, it's a 12 point, not a 6 point. So let's get that off. Next, we're going to get the rotor off itself. So you need, on mine, that is a T50. Some may have Allens, but I believe all the LR4s from the factory use the same, the rotor locator. So we'll deal with that. And mine is a T50. All right, now that the rotor's off, we're going to get this half shaft nut out. So that means we got to get a punch in here and pop that divot up so we can rotate this. On mine, it's a 32 millimeter. I don't know that these are factory half shafts. On the Range Rover, it's 36 millimeters, but this particular one is in fact a 32. So let's get it off. Now that we got the nut loose, the half shaft nut, you can take a punch, hit that center, and push it so it's loose. See there? And then do yourself a favor and clean these off. This is what you're going to retract in to pull the hub out, okay? The back side of that is 15 millimeters. All right, so the bolts are loose. I just took them to where they're no longer attached, but they are still in place. And this hub is ready to come off. Ta-da! Slap the new one on. And the lesson learned here is don't ever buy Detroit axle wheel bearings. All right, let's get this puppy put back together. It's reverse process, so it's super easy. And then I'll catch you up at the end. One more quick thing, guys, before I begin reassembly. I can't stress it enough to use a good anti-seize because your wheel speed sensor, you can just make it out there. That'll thank you later. And also, God forbid, you have a bearing failure and you got to take this puppy apart again. So this is going to help you tremendously to put some anti-seize on your new sexy bearing. And I put anti-seize on the studs themselves as well for the lug nuts. So I'll goop all this up. Goes back together like so. Pretty simple stuff. These bolts thread right back in and set it in place for you. So you don't have to worry about hitting it with a hammer or any of that nonsense. And it's literally reverse process. Super easy job. I've been out here for like literally 30 minutes and it's fully assembled. So if yours don't come off as easy, you're gonna have to take a chisel and start getting in here and trying to pop it, hit it in there and popping this puppy out, because this seal, this fitting is what you're trying to overcome, okay? So I wish you best, and I'll wrap it up here in a sec. One quick thing before I wrap this up. Now that you got all this apart and it's going back together, quite smoothly, now's a good time to check your caliper guide pins and make sure they move freely, because if they're starting to drag or get sticky, you can easily just pluck them out, right, completely, and then grease them up. And the grease I like to use, and I'm not sponsored by these guys or nothing, I just think it works well, is a Permatex. Let me get it in the light here. Ultra brake pad parts lubricant, and it's synthetic and it's got a high heat on it. So it works really well. I use it in the BMW, I use it in this thing, any of the brake caliper parts, or even I've used it on the lug nuts and they work well. So, just, something to think about. All right, let me wrap this up. All put back together, torqued down, and ready to rock. All I gotta do is throw the wheel back on and she's ready for a test drive. All right, gang, this is your host, Sheepdog. I mean, damn, would you look at that hot mess? At any rate, got it all done. Took just over an hour. Pretty straightforward job. Can't stress enough, anti-seize, anti-seize, anti-seize. I know I keep talking about it, but it's your friend. It makes the life easier. Everybody who lives up north knows what I'm talking about, and all my friends in England, I'm sure you know what I'm talking about too, because we get about 150 inches of snow on average, and I know you guys are up there as well with the weather. So very straightforward job, easy for anyone to do. I didn't have any special tools. It was, what, 13 millimeter, 16 millimeter, the lug nuts, of course. I use the 7/8 impact for the lug nuts, and that seems to work better than the special Land Rover wrench. And then 13/16 for the caliper mount bracket. And then it was a T50 Torx to get the rotor locator bolt out. And then a 32 millimeter for the actual half shaft nut itself. And that came apart. And everything else was pretty gravy. 15 millimeters to get the actual hub bearing assembly itself off. Other than that, very, very straightforward. But again, like I said, I had already done this and got a bad hub bearing from Detroit Axle. Remember that, don't ever buy from them. Detroit Axle screwed me on a bearing that lasted about 6 months, and it went to pot and started making all kinds of moany, groany noises, so I had to get rid of it. So again, very straightforward. Please like, share, comment, subscribe. If you have anything you'd like to add, oh, by the ways and whatnot, please let me know. I'm just a guy working in my garage trying to keep my two Land Rovers going. So I'm not a master tech or tech of any kind, really. So please let me know in the comment section if there's something you wanted to point out, or maybe something I didn't clarify very well. Until then, the next time, take it easy, and we'll see you in the next video.